They made us do.
Okay.
My name is Angelica Edwards, Angelica, Edwards, Edwards, and I am the co-founder and president of UNC-Chapel Hill NAHJ.
Perfect. So why did you start an NAHJ chapter at UNC?
It's been a long time coming. The journalism school should have had one a long time ago, and it was about time that we started one. We needed to establish a space for UNC Hispanic and Latinx students, and there wasn't one, so we thought we should establish one.
Perfect. So in your own words, what is UNC-Chapel Hill NAHJ?
It's an organization that fosters a Hispanic and Latinx community at UNC, that prioritizes professional development, diversity, and representation within journalism and media.
So what do you who is this club for?
It's for UNC Hispanic and Latinx students who are interested in media, but we also allow non-Latinx students to join. You just have to have an interest in Hispanic and Latinx media.
Perfect. And what do you hope comes out of this chapter?
I hope that people who join the chapter can feel like they're part of a community, or familia as I like to say. I hope they gain additional professional resources that they may not otherwise have gotten. I hope they get opportunities to further advance their career. All in all, I just hope this is a place where people can, get additional professional development and those necessary skills to be successful in media and journalism, while also fostering a community here as well.
Perfect. And where do you see this club going after you graduate?
We're just getting started, so we're still in the process of bringing in guest speakers, and we're just getting started. So hopefully in the future, this momentum will lead to bigger events, more memberships, like a better, bigger, better club that we are. We're just getting started. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what has it been like starting a club in a pandemic that has led to our world being online?
So everything's been done over Zoom meetings. We've had to, all our meetings have been over Zoom, our executive board meetings have been over Zoom, and which is really challenging because we want to keep people engaged and we want people to join our chapter, but also, building a sense of community is hard when you're not in person to interact with people. So we've been relying on Zoom to facilitate engagement with our members. We just had a social event just last week. We played Loteria, and that meeting was just dedicated to getting to know people within our organization.
Perfect. And tell me about your first general body meeting.
It was just a social event. So we discussed a few updates within the club, but mainly it was just geared toward meeting people and meeting the people within our organization. We played Loteria, which is kind of like bingo with pictures, but more fun. And we also did this little icebreaker with the dice when you roll a number, and whatever number you get, that corresponds to a certain question. And so some of the questions were like, who's your favorite Latinx person in the media? Or who's your favorite Latinx singer? And it's just questions geared to getting to know each other.
So did you guys have a big turnout, and do you think people enjoyed playing Loteria and having that social event?
We had around 23 people show up, which I was happy with, especially for our first general body meeting. I do think people enjoyed Loteria. There were a lot of laughs, and I think that's something we'll do in the future.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to pause here just so I can change. All right. So what events do you have planned for the future?
We're still in the planning stages of a lot of things, but we hope to bring in professional guest speakers to speak to our chapter, professional journalists, and just people in media in general. We also are planning additional social events like our first general body meeting just to get to know people better, and things like panels where we discuss a certain topic within our chapter, and we're hoping to collaborate with other organizations on campus such as CABJ, Mi Pueblo, the Latinx Center, and more.
Why do you suggest students join the National NAHJ chapter?
We encourage our members to join the National NAHJ chapter because it comes with additional benefits that a small student chapter can't necessarily provide. You'll get access to scholarships, access to national conferences and guest speakers, competitions as well, that we can certainly do some of those things as a small student chapter, but the national chapter just comes with a lot more benefits.
Perfect. And are there any other organizations like this for Hispanics on campus?
There are no other organizations on campus that cater toward Latinx journalists that I am aware of. If I'm not mistaken, I believe our student chapter may be the only student chapter in North Carolina of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists.
And why is it important for there to be a safe space for Hispanic journalists and media professionals?
It's important to create a space for Latinx journalists on campus because we need to be able to learn more about our communities and learn how to report on our own communities, because we aren't necessarily taught how to do that within the J School. We're not taught how to cover issues such as immigration specifically or DACA specifically. And also there's a language barrier. Even though we are Hispanic or Latinx, not all of us speak Spanish, and some of us have various degrees and proficiency in Spanish. So this chapter will kind of help us navigate through that, like how do we report on communities that speak maybe the same language as us, but maybe not, and just how best to approach those situations.
Perfect. Those are all my questions. Thank you. Oh my God. Sorry, I was trying to shoot them away from you while you were interviewing because there's like 5. Oh, thanks. Yeah, so, all right, do you have anything else to add?
So UNC-NAHJ's mission is to foster a community at UNC that prioritizes professional development, diversity, and representation in media. And I said that incorrectly, so I'm going to do that again. Sorry. UNC-NAHJ's mission is to foster a Hispanic and Latinx community at UNC that prioritizes professional development, diversity, and representation within journalism and media. Over the summer, I reached out to Julian Berger, who is the co-founder, and I asked him, hey, do we have a UNC-NAHJ chapter? And I was pretty sure the answer was no, and he confirmed that. And so over the summer, we just got to working. We got a list of requirements from the national chapter of what we had to do in order to establish a student chapter here. Among that list was you need 10 members who will join the national chapter. So we had to have a membership quota. We had to get letters of recommendation from the regional NAHJ director and our advisor, Paul Cuadros. We had to have an interest meeting. So there's just a bunch of things on that list that we just worked on checking off during the summer. So because of the pandemic, we weren't able to have an interest meeting in person, and it was over the summer anyways, so Zoom would have worked out perfectly for that anyways. But the pandemic has made things harder in the sense that we're not in person, so everything has to be over Zoom. So we're not interacting with our members on a personal level. So one big challenge we're going to have this year, not only are we a new chapter and working on getting our feet on the ground, but we're trying to establish a sense of community over Zoom. So that's why we're working on having social events and just little fun get-togethers that don't have to be really serious, so we can, get to know each other and work on establishing that familia, as I like to say. But I'm really excited for what's to come. I think this should have been established a long time ago, and I'm really glad that we are finally an official student chapter, and it's really important for our members and for future students who aren't even in UNC yet to have that space and to have that resource to gain additional professional development, and something that we've really been missing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Alright, you can start scrolling now. Also, maybe if you want to explain what all the pictures are.
Sure. So we were finally able to get social media accounts up. We weren't allowed to have them until we became an official chapter. So our first post was just a little celebration post that we have become official. We were made official by National Association of Hispanic Journalists, so they voted. They had a general meeting during the joint NAHJ NABJ conference in August, and they met during that conference and approved our chapter. And so shortly after, we got our materials and were able to establish social media. So this first post, like I said before, it's just like, yay, we're official. And then there's me holding up the article that the Daily Tar Heel did on us. And then here we just have a little post advertising our first general body meeting where we played Valdidia.
Perfect. If you could look up at me. And like center a little bit more. A little bit to the left.
Your left or my
This
left?
way.